Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, listeners. It's me, Sulaiman Ben Suare, back again on Facebook Live. If you just bear me a minute, let me share this video, and the program shall start. Okay, thank you. Today is Friday, the 8th of October 2021, and the time is just about 15 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. And our discussions would be voting, current affairs for the matter, state of affairs, voting for a government that we deserve, voting for a government that we deserve, for a reason. These elections, what we're voting for, a government that we deserve for what? Sustainable development. Why this program? Thinking about it, 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, we had an elections. And for the elections, with all the promises, it was one thing Gambians have agreed on, that we need a change in order to regain our freedoms. And I believe we did achieve that. We did achieve that. Though those freedoms are at risk. Though those freedoms are at risk. In order to consolidate, what we need is sustainable development. And sustainable development means security. That sustainable development means the maintenance of this freedom we achieved. From what we achieved, to consolidate on that, we need to ensure that we vote for a government that will deliver a sustainable development. Now, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. As I said, the word sustainable development would start with the stability. Our freedoms, stability, and prosperity. People to feel, to be in a position to able to have a decent standard of living, and to ensure the sovereignty of the Gambia is maintained, is protected, and for the people that even looking forward to a future integration, and that will start with Senegambia, and further down the line, Africa or sub-regional or the sub-regional integration, whether it would be in our lifetime or not, but that's what we work towards. It's never sustainable, and in history, boundaries do change. In history, boundaries will change. There's no country that have maintained their boundary for over 100 years. It had changed over time. Then it's for this government coming and the other government to come to maintain the stability and to walk ahead in order for sustainable development, to look beyond our borders, how we relate to other countries, and how we finally integrate, so that the Gambian citizen, the sovereign, us, the Gambian citizens, are not disadvantaged. And the boundaries of the Gambia have been noticeably, have in fact expanded recently, and that is to the diaspora, which was noticed in 1992, when the Central Bank of the Gambia started to include the remittance of Gambians as a capital to our economy. Yes, Gambians have been in the diaspora well before 1992, but for a significant contribution that impacted or that was noticed, I use the word noticed, was in 1992 ongoing. And right now we all know what our contributions are in many forms, different capitals. Then we have evolved, our boundaries have moved on. It's not the physical boundaries always, it's the people, what they represent. And I think for any government to be sustainable, any country to have a sustainable development, is that investment that is needed in its citizens, so that the citizens will be able to progress. And as we progress, the country progresses. And we maintain the peace and stability and the security of that nation. And as I've been saying from the beginning, that's not this year, not last year, from when I knew that Barrow would be forming a party. How did I know? It was obvious. I said that he can't not build a party. He doesn't have the capacity. He doesn't have what it takes to build a party and still have not built a party. And we are going to elections without a party. And I said that he's going to fail to entrench himself, because he lacks what it takes to entrench himself. The environment is different. And some people came out with the word incumbent, or you have the incumbents, you have the power set. Yeah, probably misunderstood what the powers of the incumbents are, misunderstood what the factors present are. And we gave examples of different countries. But at times people just don't want to accept facts. But the facts are here glaring for everybody to see. And how it's going to happen, it's up to Gambians to vote for that. It's for Gambians to vote for that. But Barrow losing an election is not the end of everything. That's not the objective here. The objective is, what do we have in place for a sustainable development? Just I said what we achieved, what we went for. Yes, with all the other promises they made, one thing was clear in Gambian minds that voted was to see the back of Jammeh and for Gambians to have that freedom again. And we have achieved that. Yes, we voted for all the reasons. The transition, democratization, and all the aspects of it, it failed completely. The reforms failed. Now this is what we have to put to the electorates. And for the electorates to decide, we need to educate, engage the electorate, let them decide on this. Put forward your candidates. And make your point on what you're going to deliver. And I'll tell you, things are so bad, and most of the electorates are not informed, but for one thing, they know what is affecting them directly. They might not understand what the Constitution does in order to make things better for them. They might not understand what some of the policies does in order for the reforms, would influence in making their life better. They might not understand those things. But one thing they would understand is some of the practical measures can be taken around them for where they go and earn their agriculture, jobs they can access, how the market, how they can sell their produce, how they can, what it takes, or the improvement in the schools that their children will go to, the healthcare system, the overall security that they need, the peace, the security around them, the crime, battling the crime rate. These are things that will be very essential to be put to the electorate. The overwhelmed representative, people on the ground, this is what they want to hear. But we all know those things are underpinned by policies. And these policies And these strategies would have to be delivered by people. It's easy to have these policies because, I mean, we are in a generation of technocrats, cut and paste. They go on the internet, they look into different policies around the world, and they come up and, I mean, manufacture their own policy. Whether it's sound or not, whether it's suitable or not, they don't care. All it is that it sounds familiar to what people hear in other countries. And they call it transformative ideas. If they are right policies or wrong policies, the most important thing that those policies needed to be implemented. And they are Gambians to implement them. And again, there's already issues we have, problems we have within corruption, endemic corruption, and the big elephant in the room, the state capture. The same people, if I say the same people, I mean, every regime will come with their new actors. We had Jawara regime with the state capture, and some of them are still alive, most of them are gone. But we have Yahya Jammeh retain some of them and build his own around, and we have Barrow now doing the same thing. That bit have to change. That bit have to change. If not, we will have a different president, but the conditions would not. And there's a risk factor here. It's not sustainable. We cannot continue doing the same thing. And I'll tell you, it will lead to be destabilized. We will lose these freedoms, because that's one challenge would happen. Because in order for some of these things to happen, people would have to lose their freedom. And people losing their freedom, then what will happen is people will start to take the law into their own hands or challenge the authority. And we know what that was. And it spiraled onto other things, and we will not have the sustainable development that we needed. But let's talk about, these are issues that I want to get into at the tail end of this discussion. Right now, I want to look at the current affairs. Why did I keep on saying that Barrow will not win this election, or cannot win this election, cannot win this election? Will he win? That's up to Gambians. But he can't, because certain failures that have already occurred. The same failures I advanced from the beginning of my argument. What does it take to win an election? People, all the incumbents here have guarantee of 40%, no, Gambians will be, money would do it because he's have this. I said no. Now, the failure of Barrow entrainment, and we have now seen the evidence. The evidence is out there for everybody to see. Now, that should be an encouragement for Gambian opposition to do the right thing. Gambian people to do the right thing. The only way Barrow to win an election will be still in this election, and I can see him doing that, because people are not going to close their eyes. We know how elections are stolen, and he will be challenged if he tries, and he will not get away with it. Then it's for us Gambians too to be very aware, to be very careful, to ensure that that would not be tried in any form, because it will risk the stability of that country. People are not going to watch or stand by for Barrow to entrench himself by stealing elections. No, no, no. I'll tell you that. But let's look at this evidence. We heard about the issue with the police incident. The party itself, the executive of what he calls the party, his party NPP, because why do I keep on saying the party? We all know there still is an interim body, and they have not gone through a Congress even to establish the interim body. They have a 2 months election. They have not, confirmed these positions or whatever it is. They had a police incident, and what it's all about is all these things we've been pointing to, and we'll get into that. This is the evidence of what? When we talk about lack of structures, lack of vision for that matter. They don't have a vision. Everything is about grit. It's not about vision, it's about it. And that's what attracts them to borrow. It's about grit, to make money, to have money. Something that they can achieve based on their own potential. There's nothing wrong any Gambian to aspire to make money, to make wealth. But let it be based on your potential, not based on corruption or nepotism or whatever you call it. Barrow have no vision. Barrow doesn't have it in him or even think about it. That he wants to transform that country, he wants to move that country, he wants sustainable development in the country. No. It's an opportunity for him that he thinks that he's got in there, he's captured the captured the power. Now is to use the power to enrich himself beyond. That's all it's all about. That's when you lack a vision, you fail already. And because of the lack of vision, lack of that intellectual, and if I said the intellectual, I don't mean going to school. I don't mean that. To be someone with wisdom, someone who is smart, able to do things, able to, yes, people go to school to do that, but some people will not go far in school, but still they have what it takes to do some of these things. He doesn't have it. And this started the failure in attracting the wrong people. He doesn't know, and he's only comfortable with people that he can be comfortable around. And means what that means, people that doesn't have the integrity, doesn't have the intellectuality, and now he can be supreme. Because that's it. Any other person with integrity or intellectuality would intimidate him. He will not be comfortable as the leader. He has to be a leader. He has to surround himself with that kind of people. We know who they are. We know people around him. And what does that mean is the structure. Now you don't have a vision. Obviously you cannot build a structure. You have the wrong people around you. What are they going to do for you? You don't have a structure. And what does that mean? You cannot build a structure, and if you don't build a structure, that means you don't have a capacity. You have to have the capacity to build that structure. And failure having that capacity and the structure means that, look, there's nothing you can communicate. There's nothing you can take out that makes sense. Because you don't have a vision to put to people. Still now, the simplest thing is a manifesto. We all know most of his manifesto are just cut and paste. We know. Not even a must, but there's nothing that guides that party. Now, nothing to communicate about. Then what do they have is great. We all heard, most of us heard or read what took them to the police station. And literally, it's about jealousy among themselves. It's about being closer to the president. It's about having access. It's about holding a position. Because it's the same thing. They are not interested in anything. If you are interested in forwarding a movement or a party or a cause, which position you are, does not really matter. What matters is whether that's where you can impact most. No. They're all jockeying for positions that will give them access to campaign funding. And this position of women mobilizer is the problem. And again, because they all belong to different, I don't want to, they don't have an ideology or anything, but they will have to, they belong to groupings. And groupings based on how they can identify each other. You see, that's why some people will say, it's about tribe. No, it's not about tribe. Tribe is about the identity that they can look into to belong. The problem is resources. It's about to access resources to do things. It's not about moving barrows and being sure. It's not moving the party or anything. It's about moving the country. It's not about politics, not about ideology. No, it's zero. It's about getting the slice of a cake. No, it's not about making the cake. They can't make a cake. They can't. What's their track record? What's their background? What office have they held before? What campaign have they had before? Some of these people have never been even their campaigns. But today they call themselves women national mobilizers and all those things because of the leader. Now they have groupings, and one of the groupings identity would be is a group that debates from UDP to support Barrow. Now they have to hold on to each other because this is it. And it happens that some of them, most of them are from the same tribe. That's, people will identify that, but others would identify that they're from UDP. The other group, they come from the APRC, and this is not the new group that joined Barrow. This is the old people that left Yaya the minute the impasse started or after the impasse. The Syrian Jais and others, yeah, they have their groupings, and we talked about this before. And these people too, now people would some would identify them as people from the APRC. What happened again? Most of them belong to the same tribe. They might be identified as a tribe, but again, it's not the tribe. What it's about greed. This is what they have in common. And why this greed? Because they want to be something in society, achieve something in society they cannot do by working hard. They don't have what it takes. They don't have the capacity to do that on their own. They would not have been there, insulting each other or fighting among themselves or jokering on these things. No. Because for them, this is the only opportunity. They have to be close to a president, to be close to a state house, to have access to a state house, to intimidate people, in fact. Some of these people intimidate these so-called ministers or permanent secretaries or whatever it is, because they are the same. Most of them are. Now they feel important. They call themselves honorable. They give themselves titles, or they give each other titles. Now they will be in society. They have the griots to sing, to be dancing out money, and so on. That's what they can achieve with Barrow, and that's what they're doing. They don't even think about the sustainability of this. They don't think that far. Everything is about themselves, in fact. It's not about even the party. Try to get this more, because they need more. And because of what they want and where they're coming from, they need too much of it. That's why nothing is trickling down to the people that they meant to go and even mobilize. The corruption is so huge. We all know that. They have to upgrade themselves personally. They have to try to build a new house. Or they have to marry an extra blessing or whatever it is. All these things they have to go for a bigger thing. And it's not sustainable. They're having this problem. That's why they went to the police, insulting the other and everything else. Now, this is not members or sympathizers. This is the executive itself. And we only had about one side of it. There are so many groupings fighting for this. There are so many groupings among themselves, and it's going on. And as we said, it's confined. When I talked about the executive, especially Barrow himself being recorded, and Ahmad been recorded, and others been recorded and been shared among themselves. Blackmail. Not only recorded of communication, recorded of being compromised in a sexual way and everything. They had everything. And this is not people outside the party that have it. This is them. And we keep on hearing them threatening each other that you know that we got this on you. That's what they are. But not only that. Some of you might have about Panjai Girigara releasing an audio. And in fact, admitting to the audio that Barros, you should be careful, stop talking to many people because of people are recording. He know, I mean, he must haven't got an evidence. People who are asking for that evidence don't ask him. They are the one inside. But again, it's interesting that he's not personally going to Barrow to advise him. He's releasing on audio. There's a reason for that audio to be released. You see, this is what they have within them. How can they win an election? It takes a lot to win an election. But not only that, that's just to say the organization. Organizational discipline, structural wise capacity, communication, everything from. They have a strategy, and that strategy was to go after people, intimidating people, insulting people, but and presenting a so-called politic of development. But I don't hear the word politic of development again. That's what the strategy they taught. You see, this was one of the strategies here. These are all strategies here you may use. But one thing is you may have better organizational discipline and even capacity and the structures and and the fear factor, the power grip, grip and everything else was completely different. They like that. That's why I said to people, like people talking about incumbent, you don't understand it. You either do have it through what the idea may have. If failure to that, you have to do something else, deliver. The other aspect, they did not deliver. They thought the infrastructure projects, just as the idea did when he came in, build infrastructure for project by undermining this whole entire integrity of the system, which we are all suffering now. We all see in the healthcare system. Yeah, all these things is inherited. It's inherited by Barrow. But what did he do about them? Even we made it worse, because he maintained the same status quo. He maintained everything the way it is, and it just got run. And one factor was that fear he could not put into those people to do, at least deliver something. You can do whatever you want. Nothing comes out of it. Corruption, do anything. Just say that you support Barrow. You get away with it. Some people tried that with Jammeh, but Jammeh would turn around next minute and bounce onto you because of, for many reasons he advances. And yeah, it works for him. But this thing failed. Now, delivery, look at the health system. Look at the health system. We keep on saying this. Look at the health system. And when we talk about now, doctors and nurses are telling us, we knew it. And I keep on saying, it did not start from Barrow. We knew that we had a problem. Did Barrow ever have a minister of health that comes around to say that we have assessed the problems, and this is the approach we're going to take, and this is within this time we are going to deliver this much? No, absolutely, because they don't even care. Because that's what Barrow doesn't have anything to say that, look, Ben Swire, you the Minister of Health, what are you working on now? What are we going to work on now, from now on? What support do you need? You've been allocated a budget. How is it that no appraisals, nothing. That's how everything, you see, you have to have what it takes. The guy doesn't have it. It's all about going around. Chinese whispers, telling lies among themselves, fighting each other, and that's literally, that's what they are. That's what is around Barrow, from the cabinet, political parties, and everything else. That's what it is. How can that succeed? The healthcare have just gone bankrupt. No blood bank system. No. The means to to diagnose illnesses. Just no. Simple things like X-ray are non-existent in most of the healthcare system. Beds, let's go, gloves, simple things, simple things. Where's the money gone? Where's the hundreds of millions gone from the COVID funds? Everything just vanished. Now, we heard from Dr. Marina. Send it to tweet to say that if you happen to, unfortunately, have an accident, going to RVETH, can you please go, first and get an X-ray from a private clinic before getting to us? And this is the Edward Francis Moore Hospital. 5 years on the barrel on the Edward Francis Moore Hospital in Banjul. This should be the flagship hospital, teaching hospital. And X-ray broke, they don't have another one. They have no backup. How much does an X-ray cost? Serekunda Hospital or Kanifing Hospital, you call it, or Serekunda Hospital, I don't know, we know what, no X-ray. Now, tell me how many Gambians can go and pay for X-ray, private? Do you know the cost? Do you know how much CT scan cost? About $5,000 in some places. Now, but again, politics of development. Let's buy many ambulances. Why? Corruption. Buy an ambulance, you have kickbacks. Let's buy many ambulances, show them ambulances, show them we are bringing ambulances. How can get the ambulance, get the patient, and get the patient get to RVT, they cannot diagnose what's wrong with the patient. Is that, why not even people, probably people have find a way to get the patient to the to RVT, to Edward Francis Moore Hospital. If there's an X-ray, there's gloves, there's this, there's medicine, there are other things. But no, politicization. And they bought these ambulances for months. They hold on to it. The elections, they have to unveil it. The failed healthcare system. And I yesterday when I posted about the Dr. Marina's disease, and someone came out to, message me and said, actually yesterday, went to a private clinic, private facility, and to do this. Took someone there, got this CT scan and other things done. Cost the person almost £10,000, said $10,000, sorry. And two ladies came in, older ladies, cannot afford when they were a child, 8,300. They cannot pay for that scan. They left. Now these people are going to die. I don't say they're going to die, but we all know what fate. Do we know the level? What's wrong with them? We don't even know. The pain they're going to go through, how they're going to be treated. If they can, we cannot find out what's wrong with them. They don't have the privilege to go and pay. How many Gambians can pay for their CT scan? How many? Now that's it. Now that's why we're saying that we cannot see Barrow win these elections. It's up to Gambians. Now the Gambians too, what I mean by Gambians, is up to the opposition to go and tell people what they can do different. It should be believable. How can Barrow win in this case? How many Gambians are affected healthcare-wise that doesn't want to hear about this? This I said, these are the things. They might not understand certain policies. They might understand the constitution. They might understand things. These are things that affect them directly. You know, again, that's the point of social media. When I posted about the air ambulance and overland ambulance, now there's a business for carrying people who are about to die because they are not fit enough to be transported normally to Dakar, either by flight or by land. Now there's an ambulance system that takes them from the Gambia to the border. They are not even, look at that, still now, our government cannot negotiate this. And we said that our governments are the same. No, we are not respected. Still, they cannot, this is from a witness experience, I know the person, I know it's true. You go to Amdallah, you have to meet up with another ambulance from Senegal. And the patient will be transferred to the ambulance. The person said it's about $10,000 for the ambulance to Amdallah. And how many thousand CFA, 300,000 CFA, so many thousands of CFAs to get to Dakar. How many Gambians can pay 10,000 to Amdallah? How many Gambians can pay 1,000 to Dakar? Then how many thousands to treat that person? Tell me, how many Gambians can do that? Again, this is an example. The other people needed an air shuttle. because of conditions there. They needed to fly. How about those costs? Because they need an escort. You don't go alone, you go with a medical practitioner. It's charged. You have to pay a medical that look after you for you to get to the hospital in Dakar. How many people can afford this? That's why we expect the opposition to talk to the people directly and give them the solutions. What are they going to do different? I mean, we can go on to all this. The energy sector, I've written a post, and it's going to be a 3-part post. Now, talking about this blackout. The NAWEC management is lying to the public. They are not telling the truth. The problem with NAWEC is not going to improve with Barrow, because Barrow is the major problems of NAWEC, just as Yaya Jammeh was. Just as the cartel was under Jawara. Now, Yaya Jammeh came and created. You see, Jawara time, Jawara was not part of that cartel. Jammeh became a cartel with Bassi and others. And now, Barrow came and created his own cartel. I'll just have to read the post for people to remember, for the people that have not seen the post, or people who will not be seeing the post. I said some of the major problems affecting NAWEC, part 1, because it's going to have part 3. Corruption and incompetence are the major factors affecting NAWEC, and the main person responsible is President Barrow. Why? Corruption and incompetence. Why? He has the powers to appoint the Minister for Energy, the chairman and members of board of directors, and the managing director and deputy managing director. The buck stops with him. He has the powers to appoint. You see? Now, the new constitution that we needed to have was kind of different, but this one, he had the powers to appoint the board that will be looking after NAWEC, to appoint the minister that's looking after the energy sector, looking after NAWEC, to appoint the managing director and deputy manager. If things keep on going wrong, ask yourself, why is it happening? Where is the competence? No. Who did he appoint? Who are the people he will appoint? Barrow is abusing these powers vested on him to appoint and fire the senior management of the corporation by appointing incompetent and corrupt people that will allow him to interfere in the operations of the business to make financial gains via procurement of goods and services. Instead of appointing people who are competent, the energy minister, we already know his compromise. He's the energy minister for Jammeh. His only reason appointed is because of he will do what he wants. And he will take part in the corruption. 1. 2. The board composition of the board, most of them are government appointees. They are permanent secretary working in departments and in ministries. Barrow have the powers to appoint them and fire them. And he makes sure he put in place people that will do as he wishes. And he appoints the chairman, who is more powerful and more influential in the board. And now he controls the board. Then he controls everything. What he wants, that's what happens. And he does that for what reason? Instead of appointing people with experience, with the knowledge, with the integrity, with the mindset to run NAWEC, no. He will put in people that will obey, people he can interfere with for corruption, procurement of goods and services. Some of the biggest unreported acts of Barrow interference for his financial gains are as follows. 1. The 35 million bribery that was deposited in the FAB account by the Chinese company that later gained contract from NAWEC. That's a fact. That's a fact. When the 35 million dropped in, we said was bribery. And later on, after 2 years, what happened? Because the process was going on, the same Chinese company that put in 35 million was given a contract over value. financial loss to us because of what? The kickback, overvalue. Contract that was measured for about 7 million was payment. Gambia government, Gambia now is paying for 11 million because of Barrow have a kickback of 35 million, might be more than 35, because some of this corruption is structured. I pay 35 million to, because if I pay that much, I might pay other services, I might buy you something here. We've seen this proper, this thing. I might buy a house in Dakar, I can do this, I can do that through different companies. That's what they do. That's one. Two, the monopoly on the procurement of fuel, oil, lubricants, spare parts, and civil engineering services. To give out these contracts, he makes sure that his chosen people are given the contract. And why these choosing people, they will give him kickback. They will not deliver. If anybody pays for kickback, that person will not deliver. Businesses are to make profit. The more you take from them, the cost would be going to the people. Now the customer, us, would be suffering. Barrow has created a cartel of his own, the same way the dictator used to have the likes of Mohamed Bazi, Masiri, and Amadou Samba. The same way the dictator had, Barrow have his own. Barrow cartel is comprises of new actors in the game that have no experience in the field. Their sole interest is to make financial gains and give the kickbacks directly to Barrow, as he can only trust them. He created a cartel that he can trust. People he can associate with nepotism. In order for those people to get this contract, they have zero experience. They don't know how to do these things. But they will find a way of delivering something, and they get the money, and Barrow gets his kickback. That's what he's interested. He's not interested in the Gambia. Now that's why you have the blackout. Go and tell the electorate what is causing this blackout. Not to say that we are under maintenance. Part two. I'm telling you that they are not under maintenance. They have a fault. They have a problem. Now they're trying to build that problem. It's not a routine maintenance. It's an inflicted problem, and Barrow is on the head of that. We continue. And kickbacks are directed over to us. These people are Sheikh Omar Digo. That's the Amadou Samba of Barrow. Sheikh Omar Digo. Sheikh Omar Digo, in real estate, in many businesses, he manages Barrow's access to these things with his nephews. Sheikh Omar Digo is the Amadou Samba of Barrow. He's his best business kind of manager. Sirif Tambedu is the lawyer, but this guy is the business manager, Sheikh Omar Digo. And he's very skilled the way he works things out. And part 2 and part 3, Sheikh Omar Digo's role will be revealed on what they're trying to do to lift crude oil. Crude oil, from Nigeria on behalf of the Gambia government, but the proceeds are going to the NPP and Barrow and himself. We'll get to that. From part 2, I'm going to publish that tomorrow. Barrow cartel comprises of Sheikh Omar Digo, Barrow's Amadou Samba, Ababakar Jawara of Kach, the weapons smuggler. Ababakar Jawara now is part of petroleum, is in petroleum business now. The guy never had anything. Now he's into petroleum business now. And Ababakar Jawara is likely to receive the proceeds. If I will explain this, my next program. Nigeria will be given the crude oil. If the transaction finalized, then the crude oil will be given to another company that refines, and they might just sell it out there, or they might bring the refined crude to the Gambia. And if that happens, I'll tell you that it's likely. This is what they're working on for Ababakar to bring in the refined oil to GMPC. And you see, that's how they. This is why the Minister of Energy this time round is refusing to take part in this, because of the kickbacks are not going to them. The kickbacks are going to Barrow and his cabal. Ababakar Jawara, Kach, the weapons smuggler, Mr. Ja of Ja Oil, and the latest player in town is Haji Baniko Sissoho, company HB Sissoho. The other person is Ja Oil. There's no need for an introduction. We all know who Jawal is. His hands are into everything now. It's part of this Barrow cabal. Kickbacks. And part of the civil engineering works for NAWIC is contracted to what we call it, to Jawal. Civil engineering works. In Birkama, there's already problem with the civil engineering contract given to him. And these are the reasons why we have in this blackout. It continued. And the latest player is someone called Haji Baniko Sissoho. Company called HB Sissoho won the tender to supply heavy fuel to NAWIC in October 2020. Zero experience. He's another cartel member. Now, new cartels. Just as Yaya may have his cartel, Barrow have created a cartel. And I will point to someone else. Not the name, in fact, but the company called Gambisara. That Gambisara is given part of the contract to build the roads. Have you ever heard of Gambisara as a company in the Gambia? No. That's another cartel member. We are looking at the person who holds the license on Gambisara. This is the cartel that Barrow have created and will continue. Sissoho, October 20. His company has no experience in the fuel business. His company does not have the capacity for contracts worth more than $30 million. Yes, $30 million. Do you just imagine the fuel NAWIC operational cost of fuel is about around 40%. Around 40%. This goes in millions of dollars. Now, an inexperienced guy who doesn't have the money, the capacity, and everything, you give him a contract for $30 million. You know what they do? He was not going to deliver that. All he does to have kickbacks and kickbacks to Barrow is using them as a gate people to get the kickbacks so that they can the kickbacks can melt away. But the contracts will be discharged by someone else, costing transactional cost. And we'll get to the other details of this. He has not been able to supply NAWIC since last October. So who is supplying heavy fuel to NAWIC? Who is supplying heavy fuel to NAWIC? These are the questions we expect opposition to find out for us, or the journalists to go out there dig it out. NAWIC will tell you they are blackout for this. They don't tell you the facts. There's a cartel running NAWIC. What is Sissoho's relationship with Barrow? Because we know that it's not based on competence, it's not based on anything else. What is his relationship with Barrow? You see, we will see a trend here. We will see a trend here, the kind of people that he created. Just as when Yaya created Basi and Masari and others, Amadou Sambas as his cartel members. And they are operating a scam of presenting the lowest bid for supplies of petroleum and lubricants. What they do is they present a bid based on and you know because that's what I said. That's the way they control things, and the board and everything else will end up approving that bid because it's the lowest. And you say that we have to give it to the lowest. In their defense, they say we give it to the lowest. That's not it. It's not based on the lowest. Whether that person is going to deliver what it says on that bid, that's where it should be. Does he have the capacity to deliver what he said? What he put in that bid, is that reasonable? I don't have time to go to numbers, but the numbers would have told you even some of the bid. If you look at the bid and the world market price, or the price they have to buy this fuel, and the cost of taxes and the transportation and everything else, you cannot sell it to that price. That was obvious. But in that way, nobody can compete and they will win the bid. But what do they do? Do they deliver? No. They are running a scam. They are operating a scam of presenting a lowest bid for supplies of petroleum and lubricant, stating a superior quality and agreeing on a stated quantity. They will state a superior quality, sulfur, the amount of sulfur present in the petrol, heavy fuel or petrol. They will tell you 2%. Probably it's about 10% sulfur. Now that's a scam. They're telling you that I can give you a $13 a liter for this, for example, for a 2% sulfur petrol. Realistically, they can't, because of 2% sulfur petrol is expensive. No, they would end up giving you a 10% sulfur. 10% sulfur could have been $7. Now, this is one thing they do. The other is the quantity. If they say they're going to deliver 100 metric tons, they lie. They're going to deliver 50 metric tons because of they have a corrupt system within NAWEC that will accept less of what is supposed to be. They'll sign on the dotted line because they will have kickbacks. It's a cartel. This is why the blackouts are going. Tell the people voting that this is the reason, that's why we need change. That's why now someone said to me, someone commented on my post to say that he went to buy gas power, they call it, and now there's a charge onto buying gas power. And it was not made, there's no advance notice. Because they're broke. NAWEC is broke. They've run out of cash. I continue here to say, once they win the bid, they corrupt officials at NAWEC and supply less quality and quantity they tendered during the bidding process, making an economic loss to NAWEC and endangering their machines as the poor quality fuel rot the machine quicker. There's a reason why NAWEC is asking for 2% sulfur. I'm giving you an example. Now, what they're doing is, one, they're not giving the quantity. Now there's economic loss because NAWEC is paying for 100 tons when they're having 50 tons delivered. That's theft. That's corruption. Do a due diligence of investigation, you find it. I hope the next administration will do the right thing. We'll find all the evidence there. The second thing is, because of the amount of sulfur present in this oil, in this petrol, the machines need a more regular maintenance to bleed it because of the deposits, the sulfur, the amount of sulfur presence. They will need to be maintenance more often. But no, they will not maintenance more often because of the understanding that they have a 2% sulfur. Instead, they have a quality control. It's not that they don't have a quality control. That is kickbacks. It started from bottom. What do you expect other people to do? Now, the machines are warning out. That's why the next part 2 tomorrow, when I put my post, I am going to give reasons or plausible reasons why the engine at Birkama, I think number 5. It's a sophisticated machine. It's new. It's in October. It's not that they are maintaining it. It broke down because of it was due for maintenance. They could not bring it down. And we'll talk about car power, the corruption in car power. Why car power is now a permanent solution. They're using it as a permanent solution. We continue. NAWEC endangering their machines as the poor quality fuel rot the machines quicker. Check out the companies linked to Mr. Sissoho. Some of these companies cannot be found in the company register a couple of months ago because this investigation has been going for months. When we look at the company register, some of the companies registered under this guide are non-existent. I will not say registered. Some of the companies associated on this guide are not non-registered companies. And the companies are Haji Baniko Sissoho, HB Sissoho Company, That's the winner. The winner was HBC Soho, not found in the company register. The winner of a contract was not found in the what due diligence do they do? And the other company is called HBC Soho General Trading and Radio Station. He have a radio station. That's why I mean the second one is HBC Soho and Brothers Company Limited. The third one is HBC Soho General Trading. The fourth one is Star Newspaper and Print Company Limited. The fifth is Sissoho Clearing and Forwarding. And the sixth is Star FM Radio. These are the companies under the same person. Part 2 will be coming to talk about the problem with the machines. And part 3 will be about the fuel that they're trying to get into the country on the name of Gambia, but Gambia it will not benefit. The kickbacks is $800,000. They agree will go to NPP. That's NPP, different from what kickbacks going to Barrow. Kickbacks going to other people playing a part. And Papa Njai, or the Gambian ambassador in Nigeria, is being used to negotiate. I mean, to be part of negotiation. Jigo, Sheikh Omar Jigo, is the head of the businessman behind this. I say he's the ambassador of Barrow, and Kach Ababakar Jawara is the front. He have registered a business now for petroleum business. He's the front, likely to receive this through and store it and do the other thing. That's the cartel we have. And these are things that Gambians need to know. This is why we have problems. You see, we can go on and go on. The other thing is, yesterday I posted about education. A school still sitting under the big tree. And as the person said, this is not colonial school or anything. It's right now. So, the name of the village is in there, under big trees. And Barrow has the millions to walk around to give politicians or agents, giving millions to the Jammeh family, millions to anybody can claim to bring something or do something. And these are the only things given to politicians. I'll tell you, the millions going from Marabu. Every kind of Marabu is coming to the Gambia, or Barrow is sending missions there. That's how our money has been spent. And part of this money is our money because it's taking kickbacks on the name of Gambia. But schools, and for what they go around and claiming is a big lie. I've got the evidence. All the classroom they're talking about that Barrow built is a complete lie. The government have not built a single classroom. All the classrooms are built under the MRC Holland Foundation. Not a single classroom. All these thousands of classrooms are Holland, MRC Holland Foundation. They want to take credit for that. And it's interesting. Now Barrow is saying that went to Banjul sewage or drainage sewage road project and said that we should not politicize this. Who is for Barrow to tell us what not to politicize? After he politicized this, he came to Banjul to say Anayoy. Saying Banjul, he politicized, saying that now wa Banjul nation waramba we dem round. Who's to politicize this? Was he not politicizing this? Now that what we said is we are vindicated, now he wants to say that we should not talk about it. It's up to Banjulians. You have enough candidates to vote for. I hope you vote for the right candidate, because that's the government you're going to have. The government you vote for is that government you deserve. There are enough reasons for Barrow not to win. And this is the failure of delivery. And then look, I cannot go about talking about jobs. Agriculture, I'm not talking about agriculture anymore. The fertilizer, we have seen the evidence. Where is the fertilizer? All gone to Senegal and stolen by his officers. Nothing come out of it because his permanent secretary was indicted by the Justice Ministry from the police investigation to be prosecuted. No, he's not prosecuted because of the wife is a mobilizer for his party. That's what we have. You think it will stop with the corruption going on? Corruption will stop? No, Barrow is the most corrupt. He's cartel. Now his ministers and everybody else doing it. We have seen the Banjul project. It's a kickback project from the Works Ministry to everybody else that's benefited from it. Agriculture is the same thing. We move on from there, jobs. Now, you remember when Barrow said, oh, I'm going to create jobs. From what? Fisheries. It's a lie. What's a lie here? In 2019, he made the same promise in Bushfood. He said 20,000 jobs. That's a lie. I said it was a lie. It's a lie today. Again, this job he's talking about is about a Spanish company. Go and read the chronicle. The Spanish company say now they have a strategy. The new strategy is to dig in the Gambia resources, or resources in the sea, to come in. All the jobs given to our people would be to what? Slice the fish, tidy the fish, put it in a bag, send it to Spain. They do the other bit. Never be processed to be a sardine, never processed to be anything. And this is our resource, and they're going to have it for nothing. Remember what we agree with EU to sell them anything for nothing? That's what's going on. Why? Why can Gambian be empowered? Why can Gambian women be empowered? Why Gambian youth be empowered? Why Gambian businessmen not to be empowered to own factories? To build processing plant? How expensive that can be? Why our women cannot be empowered to process this fish? Why can't we have enough fish to eat first and re-export, create jobs and everything? No, he doesn't have ideas for that. The ideas, let's just go. Everything is gone. They continue signing documents, everything to come and take and go. Now we don't have anything. Now Gambians cannot afford. How can that person win an election? If he wins an election, you lost the election. That's the opposition need to go, our people, and tell them this and make sure we get this. I'm not going about land. We talk about land. I cannot talk about environment, crime, corruption, poor standard of living. It's quite, we talked about all this. I've been talking about all this. This is the fact. And the biggest failure is honesty. To harness the honesty, the integrity, to harness the diaspora capitals. No, yes, we are doing whatever. We are doing, I mean, how many capitals do we have? I can go on. There cannot be a development partner that is more beneficial than the diaspora. It's a win-win situation. We have the capital for diplomacy, we have capital for education, we have capital for everything. Any government. That's, you see, with a diaspora initiative, I'll tell you, this is why we talk about the sustainable development. This is how. I said our boundaries have been expanded when we had this diaspora, and from 1992. That's when the central bank started to notice or take it seriously on the diaspora remittance or contribution. When, the banks were oversaturated with dot marks. They can't find dollars or pounds. And we know why that happened. But from then on, we all seen the money exchange bureaus and everything else. Remittance, we all know how much it is. How much part of, over 40% of a GDP. But that 40% could have been even 80%. There are a lot we could have done. There is a lot. But he ignored it because he doesn't want the challenge. Just as I said, that's why he surrounded himself with people like that. The integrity, lack of knowledge, that's what he can deal with. He is intimidated by people with integrity, intimidated by people with intellectuality, people with rigor. He does not like us. He cannot handle us, and a country cannot go with empty heads. That's why they are fornicating, doing everything everywhere, and fighting over crumbs. When the cartel and mafias are taking everything from us, when other sovereign countries are coming and taking everything from us. Do you think most of these companies coming as private companies are not been empowered by the sovereign nations? Go and look at the Indian foreign policy. Go and understand Indian foreign policy, especially to developing countries. Go and look at the Turkish foreign policy to developing countries. Go and look at the Chinese policy on developing countries. You think these companies would just come because of they are private companies? No. They have a buy-in by their government. A government has to be strategic to empower their companies, empower their citizens. How can Gambians compete with these people when our governments fight us? From the taxation, from anything we go for, from land allocation to anything we want to do in that country, it would not be possible because we are desperate or we are Gambians. We have integrity. We refuse to pay bribes. We refuse to broach. How can you compete? That's why, again, I said you vote for the government you deserve. You have an opportunity, and I am calling to the opposition to go and get the vote out. Barrow should be gone. Barrow might. You see, there are a lot of things that is possible if we had concentrated on doing the right thing. Barrow could have abandoned, would have abandoned his ambitions long time ago, and it's still not late. Because you have a humiliating defeat. A humiliating defeat, not only a defeat, a humiliating defeat. And I'm saying this, it's possible. Is it going to happen? It's not why he's going to do that. I have a role to play, that's why I'm playing now. That's why I'm engaging here. But the opposition can do that. And we'll talk about what how they can do that. We look at this failure. And Barrow, that's the problem. You see, Barrow surrounded himself with his own people. He's captured. Barrow is desperate. He's captured. He's captured. He's desperate. Now, Barrow feels it himself. He knows it himself. And people around him knows it. And again, I am not the one who's been saying it. I've been saying it, but not now, not the one saying it. They're saying it themselves. Listen to their audience. When we said that, Ahmad Bas said it. When we said that, Ahmad Bas said these things that, look, things are not going to work out. Let's take and go. Whoever is now coming up. They're all saying it. They know it's going to lose. Let's try. That's why they're fighting. That's why they're fighting. They are not concentrated. They don't have a strategy. They don't have nothing. But if he had the wisdom, or the people with wisdom would say to him, Barrow, give it. Bring the Gambia. Call for a national conference, a week of national conference. Invite the civil society, invite diaspora representatives, invite the politicians. And tell them that you're not going to run. But you're going to make sure the elections are free and fair. Let them battle it out. I am not saying that you get away with everything. But if you are wise, Gambians easily forget or forgive. They've been so bruised. And I give you that example. When Yaya Jammeh conceived, Gambians forget about Yaya Jammeh. It was just Yaya Jammeh been stupid, been greedy, and been scared because know what he's going to face, and reverted, and Gambians came out. Gambians were celebrating. Technically, we'll be forgetting a lot. I'm not saying everything, especially in your case. But no, it's not going to happen. They will not let him happen. They want to milk it. They will milk it to the last day. And go and ask Hussein Habre. Yes, you think that going to Senegal as on asylum is going to save you? You must be crazy. The marabouts would eat. The political interlocutors will come and eat. The Senegalese state will eat. And you will, even if the new administration know how to go by it, you'll be handed to the Gambians, or you'll be tried in Senegal, if they know how to go by it. If not, gradually, your resources will stand up, these things, and you'll be flushed out. That's your fate. I don't know that. I was scared. He's scared everything that he's been told is a lie. But that's why we should be careful, Gambia. A desperate person. We should be careful. We should not put things to chance. We should not put things to chance. Now, what is the alternative? What are we voting for? What are we voting for? You see, as I said, it's fine and dandy to go and put a manifesto, 10 points, 5 points, 100 points, 3 points, transformation, whatever it is. Let us be honest. Even educated Gambians, how many people have read, go and try this? I've tried it. I'm telling you, people who are active on politics, ask them. Some of them, their own parties, they have not read their 10 points or 5 points or transformation. I'll tell you that. You see, I know people demand things, you do things. But I am talking of the impact, the effective, get to the voters. Tell them the present voter. But again, I'm not saying you don't have policies or you don't use policies. Yes, have policies, use policies. But I'm saying that put it basics to the people. Engage people in a manner that they will understand what it means about those constitutions or those policies. What can bring about relief and give them decency that they deserve. Bring the people out that have credibility, that they can trust. The message is important. The messenger is very important. You will lose the message if you don't have the right messenger. We have to accept the challenges. Just I said, Barrow did inherit challenges. But one thing is we have the capitals that we need to transform and change and take on those challenges. Human resource, we don't lack it. If we seek it, they are there. Even finances, we don't lack it. If we seek it, if we look at it, if we control what we have, austerity, prioritize, we have sustainably bring about change. You'll be surprised how much certain investment in productive sector can change. I mean, investment in productive sectors can bring about change. If Africell and QCell can be making millions, how come Gamtel is broke? Gamcell is broke. Only Gamtel and Gamcell could have done a lot of difference in other areas. But again, it's not. We have challenges. And the major challenges are the same challenges Barrow had inherited, but make it even worse. And then our challenges are greater. If any political party raise their hands to say that they have the answers, I hope they have not underestimated what is happening. And if I was any part of any political party, I'll tell you some of the issues. I'll not make a claim of transforming them. I will promise you a review. And from that review, this is what I will be looking at. Because you'll be shocked when you get in what you find. In the United Kingdom itself, where we have a civil service that is independent, very effective. When new government comes in place, they are surprised at some of the things they find. It's not as it's been presented. To the extent of they created, that's what they created more independent bodies that will look into budget, even budgets and other things. Just so that there is something out there, structures are out there, and information is right, the data is right. The government brings out a budget, there's an office that looks at it and says, this is lacking, this is lacking, this is this, and comes out. A political party brings out something, they can look at it. We have a challenge. And the challenge is the transition. We have to have that transitional administration again. And if I say the failure, we have a failure of transition. We had this failure. Yes, and look, if you really want to dig in, we'll have to look at even transition from colonialism. Because we have to look at our educational reforms. We have to look at law reforms. That's why I said, I am not saying transition, you have to come and promise us that you're going to serve 5 years and go. No. Well, I'm not talking about the transition. I'm talking about transition in a lot of things that we do, a lot of things that we're looking after. We need to have an eye on it to see how we move from what it is today and what it should be. A period of we examine things and make sure we are right with it and we move forward. That administration, that's why I say so, manifestos and everything would promise you the war. But is it realistic? We have to do this realistically in order to have the sustainable development. I know the model of government or the economic management, whatever, is the same thing from PPP to now. Technically, it's the same thing, and most parties are promising the same, apart from PDIS, who is promising something radically different. But again, we have to be realistic on all these things. How are we going to do this? And in order to do this, we have to remember we need the people to do it. And I will come to that. I will come to the challenges of doing that. We need the people. Just as I said, if anything to change with NAWEC, the energy minister have to be right. The board have to be right. The kind of capacity, listening, who can think about it. And probably conduct a review and look at NAWEC. Is it going to be business as the same? Or no? Are we going to redraw this? What are we going to do? Radically, are we going to run this differently? How different? Are we going to split it up? What are you going to split? These are the things that we expect. A government should be ready for that. These are the things we want to hear. A technical, well, we're going to fix the energy problem, but tell us how, show us how, make people hopeful. Make the Gambian businesses be hopeful. They support you, and businesses support you. That's how you get the resources and you get the mobilization. Get other Gambian people who are suffering, need this energy to run their own small businesses or to run their houses, to live in comfort and everything. Tell them. This is what we need to do. The alternative, this is what they need to do. Just part of energy. Just give an example on energy. We have to be ready to break away this cartel. That's the challenge. The cartel are already with us. They are our brothers and sisters. Yes, some do come from abroad, but mainly they are us. Even those in abroad, they have representatives that let them in. We have to be ready to take on this cartel. Any party, did any party or any candidate come out and tell us exactly how he's going to do things differently? In order to take care of the cartel, you have to tell us the mechanisms you have, the structures you're going to create to make sure this cartel would not, the transparency that would ensure, accountability to be. That's how you deal with the cartel, and this, we will be hopeful. We'll be hopeful, and Gambians hopeful to win. That's why we need a transition, competent, very competent people, we need that. I said reforms in many sectors, critical sectors, the economy, almost everything we need to reform. We need to look at everything that we do. It's wrong. What we're doing is it's been wrong. But we can, the most important thing is the people we appoint, the competency in them, inclusivity, to be inclusive. Look at the problem. You see, it's kind of easy being in opposition with all the challenges, I'm telling you. But the minute you have control, you have been given the mandate, especially in a democracy, the fire start burning. You know, and two things will come out. When you are in government, two things come out. If you want to do the right thing, you take the challenges and are difficult decisions to take. And they might not be popular, but you take it. They're painful medicine, you give it to them. Give it to the people. And stand by it. The end result, the Gambian will be healthier. Gambian will be wealthier. Gambian will be more stable. The failure of doing that is for you to indulge. Accept the state capture, accept the cartels, accept the incompetence, because of you want to give positions, you want to achieve certain things for yourself and people around you. not about the Gambian people, not about Gambia, about the future sustainability of our country, you fail. And you will be surprised how much challenge you have. The challenges will be more than doing the right thing. Because, you know, doing the right thing, one thing, you go to bed and sleep. And even if you're killed during that process, you left a legacy that you've been doing the right thing when you were killed. But if you do the wrong thing, you have more challenges and people will come after you. And you'll be challenged. And you will lose your legacy. And in the process, you will end up in prison. And the worst case scenario, the country will be destabilized and you'll be part of that instability. And the Gambians will all suffer, or continue to suffer, or win no more. These are the choices we have. Then elect the leader that can assure you that Gambia would not be that Gambia. It would be the Gambia we all desire to see. The Gambia that we'll be proud of to call home. The Gambia that we'll be proud of to pass on to the next generation. The Gambia that our founding fathers, our ancestors will look down upon us and be proud of. That's the Gambia we should work for. It's a challenge. That's why we need inclusivity. Because when you look at inclusivity, it's not about, oh, we tribe, or no. All tribes have competent people. As all tribes have criminals. Gender is important, very. Because God doesn't create and make mistakes. Gender is important. Generations are important. Generations. It's not all, yes, the youth, because in this advantage, we keep on talking about youth. But we all have a role to play. Every generation has a role to play. It's ours. We inclusive. All hands on deck. Appoint people based on their competence, their integrity, their mindset. And the job will be easier for you. And that's why we go for leaders that can deliver this. And that's why the political parties come out. Talk about the competence they are going to bring to us. Talk about the inclusivity they're going to do. And to reform. We have to. I talk to young people and out here revolution. I'll tell you. I talk to young people. I've been there. I keep on telling them, calm down. Calm down. No, let's just try reforms. No, the reforms are not going to work. Nothing. We have to have a revolt. We have to do this. I said, no. Once you go for a revolution, you don't have control. You don't have control. I'll tell you. You don't, because there are so many stakeholders, there are so many actors. And when you create that revolution, it's not your vision that was going to come out. It's throwing the cards in the air. You know, I know many people try to give you the China listens, but I tell you, China will tell you that, look, it could have been done better, quicker, rather than going to this generation of the cultural revolutions and anything else. They finally find their senses. Their senses became out of pragmatism. Out of pragmatism. What works, do it. Base it on people who are honest, people who have competence, and being inclusive. But it's the control over freedoms. And we are seeing the China having that problem now. They're not comfortable with most of the individual wealth being created now. The Alibabas, the lot of these things now, they're cracking on it. And they're trying again, saying, no, they have to regulate human behaviors. They don't want people to evolve. They want to maintain the culture. They want to hold back the culture. That's what revolution does. But if we are not careful, if these reforms are not followed and delivered, be the security sector reform, civil service reform, society itself, the youths cannot wait anymore. The youths are tired of waiting, the youths are tired of being sidelined, and the youths should be inclusive. It's part of leading that country. They are leaders today, not tomorrow. They are leaders today. Go and look at the average of leaders in the world, in Europe and advanced countries. And what's our average? That's why I said these reforms have to happen for the transformation to be true for our future. Have to. Now, these are things that we expect from political parties to tell. The alternative to go out there and it's put it in a simple way. This is what it is. The youth want to hear this. Women want to hear this. People want to hear this in these aspects and areas that we understand. This is what we will need. But the challenges, there are challenges. Again, this is national challenges now, individual challenges. We can go on talk about individual challenges. As citizens, what challenges do we have? As citizens, what challenges do we have? Look at yourself. How do you feel? When you hear about incidents happening in the country, what do you feel when you hear that a household has been terrorized? A household has been terrorized overnight. A woman was about to be raped, or sometimes even been raped, we don't know. You know, women will keep rape, especially in our society. You think how many women come and say, I was raped? And we find out that the people that did that are 5 Gambian youths. We find out that those 5 Gambian youths are drug addicts. How do you feel about that? Not only that the family has been terrorized and their lives been threatened, or they kill, or anything happen, or raped, and that's been killed for, that's been killed and imprisoned for forever. That's what rape does to you. How do you feel? How do you feel about those youths, in fact, big victims themselves? Because they don't, there's no parent that will want to see that in their sons or children or daughters. And those 5 Gambians, life of crime. How do you feel about hearing those women going to a clinic, a private facility, to try to get an ultrasound, but cannot afford the $8,300 because the state was meant to provide to the healthcare system, because they've been walking their back, paying taxes, contributing to the country. But for few people to take that to live the life of luxury, buying properties around the world, that poor Gambia. How do you feel? How do you feel as a citizen? How do you feel as a citizen seeing children not going to school? Begging in the streets, being hungry, going to bed. How do you feel as a citizen? How do you feel as a citizen when you see our young boys and girls, for that matter, boys, yes, at the Senegambia street selling their bodies? How do you feel when you go around there and see that? How do you feel when you see our boys and girls taking the back way, suffering in camp detention camps? Right now, over 10,000 Africans are in prison in Libya. How much of the population is Gambians? You'll be surprised to find out how many Gambians are in prison today. And some, their families will not be aware. Some are dead. Their family are still hopeful that they will come back one day, and come back one day with not only their health, but with something. And that dream will never possible. How do you feel as a citizen with all these things going on? How do you feel about citizens losing your sovereignty? When you have Indians been empowered by their government to come to Africa, to come to Gambia, to do business and to disrespect us. Be the Chinese, be the Turkish, be the other people. How do you feel about that? I'll tell you, I've nearly got into many fights, been seeing that. But that's not the solution. What would you feel, or how do you feel when you hear Gambian accent, Gambian scientists be part of the people that produce the COVID vaccines, Gambians, intellectuals in places, Gambian football, in the Premiership. And Gambians doing all the Gambians owning business in the Gambia. Gambians owning properties in the Gambia. Gambians doing things in the Gambia. How do you feel? Which of those do you want? The first or the latter? It's up to us. We have that individual responsibility. We all have something. To who much is given, much is expected. We all have something to contribute. Us, the diasporans, we don't have a vote, but we can influence a vote. Other Gambians, privileged Gambians on the ground, it's not only your vote, you can influence votes. Gambians that have less influence still can influence votes. You don't influence vote because of you are giving money to people. Many people can articulate issues, can appeal to especially your relatives. Our parents give that education first. Charity begins at home. Our brothers, our sisters, appeal to them, educate them, because it's our responsibility. Not only to vote, it's our responsibility to hold government to account. Now, that's why I said the first challenge is us. We are the ones in political parties. Are we holding our parties and doing? Yes, we should be doing, donating, supporting, mobilizing, but are we ready to tell truth to power and ready to hold them accountable? Because if the party fails, if the government fails, fail for all of us. If the country is destabilized for all of us, regardless of where we are, or where we belong, or where we come from, in means of tribe or region, it won't matter. We all will suffer. The pride of Gambia would suffer. Pride of Gambians would suffer. The challenge starts with us. Then we have a political party challenges. You see, again, I said, we have challenges. That's why when we talk about reforms and look at certain things, we have to look at our history. We have to look at our history of how we came about, how we started our political parties, what our political parties represents. Certain things happen by default. Some of these things happen by design because of what opportunism. You know, let me keep the pool small so that I can be relevant. Let me not open up. Let me not be inclusive. Let me be divisive. We have seen that all. If you go to our political history, you will find out why Banjul will have a party called Gambia Muslim Congress to alienate our Christians. And if you knew the people that formed that party, what relationship they have with Christians, they would not be without Christians. Because half part of them are Christians. But when it comes to politics, they don't care. They will form their party as a Muslim. And a lot of things happen. Other things happen by default of what we inherited, what we have to bring about the change. Because once you have a political party in government, that's the fact. That's the fact. I'll tell you, be in America, be in Europe. Go and look at America. When they have their transfer power. How many staff does the Democrats have to recruit to appoint? Who do they let go? Conservative. But there will come a time that the conservative might think of certain people who are leaning Democrats to say that we need their expertise. We need them for their competence and everything we put them in. We have seen Obama have leaning Democrats in his administration and others. But in most cases, obviously, that's why people belong to parties too. This is a fact. But again, there will be political appointees. But we have critical sectors. We have critical sectors. We should not compromise with these critical sectors. We have reforms. We should not politicize or compromise on these reforms. Who does it best, give it to them. Delivery, this should be what is happening. Would it happen? It will happen if we, as citizens, have taken the challenge to speak parliament to power. Because ultimately, we want the success of that political party, with the success of that government. If they fail, we all fail. Then we should not support a party or support an individual, knowing that it's not for the greater interest. There will be a level of party interest in anything, if you belong to politics. That's what politics is. But not to the extent of sacrificing the interests of the nation. That again said, there will be challenges for coalition. I'll say you this. The way I see things right now, Barrow have lost these elections. It's up to the people and the opposition. UDP can win the elections if they continue doing the right thing. A coalition of opposition parties might come out and win the election. We might win the elections by a single party. It's possible. A lot of work needs to be done. We might win the election via a coalition, but both will have a problem. They will have challenges. In fact, I call it. It's up to us, citizens, and up to party political leaders to do the right thing. But seldom they don't. They only do the right thing because of their pressure to do. They might have the intentions, but if they don't have the support to do the right thing, they will not. Yes, it might sound contradicting that they might have the intentions to do the right. But if we don't give them the support, they will do the wrong thing. And the support is by criticizing them constructively, holding them accountable. The power, the power dynamics, the state capture and other things can easily be tempting and influence people. That's why we should. The order, as I said, might be a single political party having this challenge, but the order might be, what do we have? Challenges from a coalition. As we have learned before, coalition. Because people come into a coalition for what? Power grab. Not about ideas, not about change, it's about job. And that's why we see so many candidates. That's the fact. So many candidates are doing this to cultivate political capital. And we all know, I keep on saying this, I cannot see Gambia having more than 5 candidates by elections. 5. Most of them would run to where they think they will benefit. Some will even know that I'm going here, I will lose. They're going to lose, but there's a reason they're going there. They've been paid to go in there. And Barrow is giving good money for now. But it seems recently he's kind of thinking about who to take or how to take them. But others would run to opposition parties to support them in order for that party to give them. But if that person is doing it to be given, that person is not ready to do anything apart from benefit himself. This is the danger of these coalitions, but it might be necessary to have them and we hold them account. Now, either way, what we're talking about here is depend on Gambian people to hold them to account in order for things to work. There will be challenges. There will be challenges. But this, whatever reason is, we have to make sure we bring about change. But I am not saying change for change's sake, but change for start a process. I'll tell you, we have done one part of that process, that's the freedoms. And we have to continue to maintain the freedoms because we entrench. God forbid we fail to win the elections. I'm talking about win the elections. Fail to win the elections and said Barrow is declared winner. Barrow would entrench himself then. He cannot entrench himself now. Now we are holding him accountable. We're doing a lot of things, but he's still getting away with certain things. Imagine if he wins the election. Now it's for him to present the constitution again. It's for him to do reforms or anything. You think he was going to do anything? And lack of failure to do these reforms and present a new constitution the way it should be and everything, what do you think is going to happen? That's where the destabilization will happen, because he will bring it to us. You know, when I was digesting earlier, I just wanted to give examples of what the Taliban is facing right now. You see, the Taliban now don't want any tension. They don't want any crisis. They don't want any destabilization. They don't want any fight. Because now they are the custodian. They are the one holding the state. But now it's been brought to them. Because of what? They are failing to do what is expected, deliver what? The inclusiveness. They are going on to victimize sex because of their religious, they are Muslims, but they have their religious lining. They are going after the youths because of, they don't want the youths to evolve for anything. They're going after women. Now they are destabilizing themselves. But still now they don't want war to happen, but they're bringing war to the people. It's the same example that happened in a democracy. If you deny people the freedoms, or if you deny failure to deliver what's supposed to be delivered to the people, seldom people will go the other way. Yes, that's why it's good to have time limits. That's why it's good to have an elections. People say, okay, let's go to election. Wait, we punish him at elections. But if they feel that you have used the power of the incumbents, or you have a power grab onto them, the only other solution they have is a direct action. People will take the direct action. Because you are using instruments that are inherited from a dictatorship, the constitution, the laws, and everything else onto them. This time, this is the patience Gambians have given us, so that this election will bring about the change. If we fail to bring about the change, these elections, and Barack want to continue onto this, Gambians will not. Don't go out and say that if you don't understand what I say, that Ben said that this is going to happen. But if he continues, that's one again. That's a fact. That's a fact. Not a statement I just make. It's a fact. I can back it on. Go and ask why Macky Sall is facing challenges today. Certain challenges would not have happened if he have shown his intentions that I'm not going to run. And avoid certain corruptions he got involved in, and try to stop people to live with their freedoms or express themselves. If we fail, and we have Barrow what we have, the new mafia will entrench. Ababakar, Jawara, Jigos, and others will entrench. This is the risk we have. If we fail, Senegal would advance, keep on advancing on us. We don't have a problem. Look, I want Senegal to transform, but not to the expense of Gambia. Buga sa réew la, buga sa boppa la, du bañ la. What we say, we are not on the same footing. And no, we have been disadvantaged because we have an incompetent. I'm not blaming Senegal. I'm blaming us for having an incompetent government. That's why I said we should have an incompetent government. If we continue to have an incompetent government that rely on spiritually on Senegal, strategically on Senegal, everything on Senegal, what do we expect? Security on Senegal, what do we expect? What do we expect? Senegal would have to advance on us. We rely on someone who lacked the transformative ideas. Now our air travel, we cannot expand our air travel. We cannot, maritime is a problem. Ships are not coming to Gambia, or if they come, it's costing us more. All these things happening. Tourism is broke. It's not only about COVID. It's that we are not managing better. Yes, every country has a challenge, but they are managing better. Agriculture is going. We cannot feed ourselves. Now we are going to be fed by Senegal. What do you expect? We become a region. It's not to blame Senegal on that. Every country have to love themselves and have to do things for themselves. They are doing that. What I said, that we have to love ourselves better to do that. And finally, the new state capture. We have to avoid that new state capture. You see, we're talking about Barrow. We have to be careful and ready. Right now, they are within political parties. Right now, they are within campaigns. I'll tell you that is a fact. They are our brothers and sisters. And some of these people are smart. They are using instruments, they are using people embedded, so that they will come out when we get into government. Now it's up to us citizens to ready for and wait for the to deal with that. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. They will try it. What we're going to do as citizens, what we're going to do as political parties, what we're going to do as a government. If we let these people, the suffering of people, the struggle, and everything we did to remove Barrow would be just useless, just as it's happening now that we said that we remove Jammeh and things are like this. It's going to get worse. State capture would happen again. be the businesses, be other things, you do it. To avoid it again, we have to do the right things. I said based on competence, inclusivity, and reforms. These things have to happen. Then I'll tell you, in that time, we'll have everything what it takes to move Gambia. We have what it takes to move Gambia. We have the resources to move Gambia. But we have to have the right government to do that. And failure to do this, what we know, it's going to be disaster. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a long one, and I for guys that came out late can watch from the beginning. But as we said, 2016 we voted the dictator out for our freedoms mainly. Yes, we wanted more, and that more was going to come through reforms and other things. It did not happen. Now we have these freedoms we have to maintain. We have to this time around vote for what we're going to maintain these freedoms and advance us in a sustainable developed way. And we have seen the failure of Barrow in entering himself. It's technically he cannot win an election. Now it's for us Gambians to win these elections. We can win these elections, but not win alone. I'm going to put the right people in there. I'm going to vote. Who you vote for or what you vote for is what's going to represent you. Then the vote is ours, and we expect the opposition to come out and get this vote out by telling us what an alternative there would be. This is what can happen. We have failed in every aspect, and continuing on this, it's going to be challenges, and we have to deal with challenges. But as I said, we are citizens. We are the people that make political parties. We are the people that will make a government. We are the people that would elect a government and ensure that government appoints the right people. Then we can hold them to account, and that's how change will happen. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good afternoon. Thank you.